Hello everyone and welcome back. Let's going to continue today doing the financial model. There's not much left from our last video. What we have to do today is to complete the calculations for the equity and project returns. That's basically it. There's nothing more. So let's going to start by the equity returns. What is the infrastructure we have in here? So to calculate the equity and project returns, it's a bit different, and I would recommend you guys to watch the video that I did on the equity returns versus project returns to really have a deep understanding of the difference between the two and the nuances on how to calculate it. Let's go and start now. So for the equity returns, we have to come up with the cash flow to equity. And here, I mean, all the equity investments, all the equity that was put into the project as an investment, plus the cash flows, what the equity investor is taking out of the project. So that goes in this line here. Then for display only for now, we're going to calculate the cumulative cash flows to equity. We're going to have to come up with a discount rate, what it would be the equity hurdle rate, so that we can then calculate the equity NPV and compare the hurdle rate against the IRR to equity investors. So that's essentially what we have here. It's pretty straightforward. We have most of the information already in place. So let's see. What is the cash flow to equity? So as I mentioned before, it's a combination of two things. The first one is the equity investments, which is above here. And we're going to add it as a negative number. And that should be this number in here. So this is the equity investment here on row 26. So we're going to just plug in here, and I'm going to multiply by -1 because this is an outflow of cash from the equity investors. Okay, so here we're analyzing the cash flows from the equity investors' perspective. So the equity investors in this particular case here had an outflow of cash of 2.1 million in this period. Is going to receive it back from the cash flow available to equity. Okay, so we have this first number here, and then we're going to have to add the cash flow available to equity, which is this number above here. We're going to copy and paste everything across. That's the cash flow available to equity. The cumulative cash flow to equity is just display information. Then we can plug it in a graph. But for now, it's going to be the sum. And I'm going to have to accumulate it. So I'm going to press F4, then column. And then I'm going to go up again, close, and enter. And as you can see, as I copy things around here, I am accumulating the total value of the cash flow. And the number is going to reduce up to the point where we're going to achieve the total cash flow to equity, as you can see in here, right? It's pretty straightforward, nothing to be done here. We're going to now have to bring up the discount rate for equity, or the equity hurdle rate, which is what is the minimum IRR return that would be acceptable for the equity investors. Let me see if the information is already available down here. I don't think it is, but we can always add it. So I can't see. Oh, here, equity returns. Okay, so that's it, the equity hurdle rate or equity returns. Let's gonna put equity hurdle rate. Okay, we're gonna also put equity hurdle rate in here. That's gonna be equals to this number here. So what it means here is that the equity investor is looking for at least 6% IRR in an investment. That's from the equity perspective on, okay? And with this number here, we can calculate the NPV. And we can calculate the NPV in two ways. I recommend you watching again the video that I did on the difference between NPV and XNPV in Excel. That's very important that you understand the difference between one and the other, what you need to have to calculate one and what you need to have to calculate the other, because that's very important. Not everyone knows. And I really recommend you to really understand the difference between NPV and XNPV. Okay, the results should be more or less the same for a given cash flows, but you need to understand what is the difference between the inputs of the one and the other. Here I'm going to use the XNPV, and I always go for the XNPV whenever I have the dates available in the financial model, okay, because that's more precise. That's the only reason why I use. And at the end of the day, it's much easier because I don't need to worry about the percentage of the 6% IRR if it's in a yearly base or it's not. So there's all these things, right? So, and speaking about the period of their equity hurdle rate, what we have here is a 6% per annum. Okay, so let me put in here 6% per annum. That's important information, okay? But as I'm going to use the XNPV, that doesn't really matter. So I'm going to put here per annum too. So I'm in the input sheet now. Let me go back. And I'm going to calculate here the XNPV. So, and I'm going to also calculate the cumulative XNPV. And you will see how I do it and why that's interesting to have. So I'm going to start by calculating the NPV here. So it's going to be equals to XNPV. And what do we have? We have the rate here. I'm going to press F4. Then we have the values. The value should be this one here, right? So I'm going to press F4, colon, and then I'm going to go back here. And I'm going to comma. And the dates, these are the dates. So I'm going to press one time here, F4, colon. I'm going to press again, and I'm going to close the parentheses. And I'm going to see why I'm doing like this. So this is the equity and the NPV on period 0, which should be equals to the cumulative cash flow for period 0, because we're evaluating your cash flow at that particular date. That's why the numbers are the same. So I'm going to copy and paste here, and then you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm cumulating the NPV for the 2 periods, right? So what would be the NPV on period 2? And you can see up here that I have the dates only being accounted for the first 2 periods. And as I copy and paste everything across, I'm going to have the NPV for each one of the periods. And when the NPV break evens, when it's 0, so between these 2 periods in here, that's where the equity returns is 6%, because I'm discounting my NPV at 6%, right? So we're going to be break even on period, let's see, on period 19, on quarter 19. That's what it is, because we have a quarter. Each column is a quarter. Okay, so that's for the NPV. Then we can calculate the project IRR. I'm going to use, again, XIRR. Watch the video that I just mentioned before. That's interesting. So the values. Now, I can also, let me get rid of this. I can calculate the cumulative XIRR. So I'm going to just copy. I'm going to paste here, and I'm going to just fix. So let me go back here. I'm going to do one thing here. So I'm going to press F2. Instead of the XNPV, I want the XIRR. I don't need the rate now, so I can get rid of this. And now we only need for the first row. So here can be, let's go, here can be 6, 9. And here can be only 3, correct? So that's an NA because there is no IRR in first period. That's not possible to calculate it. So I'm going to copy and paste everything across. Let's see what we're going to have here. I'm going to also set this for a percent style. Okay, and I'm going to have a 2. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to calculate, and as you see here, as we go along, we can calculate the IRR for each one of the periods, and it's 0 for most of it. Actually, it doesn't converge. It should be a negative number. That should be below 0. Okay, it's lower than 0 here. Here, that it starts to converge. So an IRR calculation is a calculation that is done by an algorithm like a go-seek approach, where it needs to converge to the IRR. And sometimes, particularly for the first periods, it doesn't converge, okay? But here it starts converging, and you can see that the IRR increases as we have more cash flows coming to the project. And here's where the NPV is 0. Here's where the IRR is 0. That's what interest, okay? You would only invest in the project if we're able to carry on the operations up to this period here, where the IRR is greater than the hurdle rate, okay? So that's what it means, and that essentially says that you would have to go for 20 periods. Or in other words, where the NPV would be 0, which is just in here, okay? If you want to see the number here at the end of the lifetime of the project, you can just put here XIRR, and you can calculate in here. Just come here. Right, so these are the values, and here we are going to have the dates. It's going to give us the same 25% IRR. Good, so we have the equity IRR. So now we're going to calculate the project returns. Let's see how that goes. So what are the information that we need to provide in here? So the first one is the cash flow available to project before tax. Why is that? Again, watch the video on the difference between equity returns and project returns, so you can really see why we need to do it. Then I'm going to plug in here the tax paid with the ungeared tax paid, cash flow to project, which is the sum or the difference between one and the other. The sum because I'm going to use a negative number for tax paid. I'm going to calculate for display only the cash flow to project. We're going to plug in the discount rate to project, the hurdle rate of the project, not of the equity investors, the NPV to project, and the IRR to project. That's basically it. We're going to calculate the IRR to the project, and that's it. So let's see, what is the cash flow available to project before tax? So let's find in here. So it should be the cash flows before tax, and is this one in here. I'm going to just plug the right name and the right cell. That's the one. I'm going to copy and paste across. And that's 102 million. Cool. That's going to get the tax paid, the ungeared one. But I don't think we calculated that in our last video. So we're going to do it right now. If you recall from our last video, we calculate the tax calculations for the geared project. That's the calculation we did. And now we're going to do for the ungeared project. I should have done that before, but I didn't. I kind of forgot, but that's okay. We're going to calculate the tax loss account later. So I'm going to just set this as a yellow. I'm not going to do it now. And let's do it. Okay, so what do we need? We need first the EBITDA, which is up here. Let's see, where is our EBITDA? It's here, right? And well, the cash flow before tax, which is the same thing. Depreciation we did calculate, and it is below here. So that's the $20 million here, and should be a negative number because that's gonna reduce your tax payable. But there is one thing in here. No, I got the wrong. Sorry, this is not the right one. The right one is the one below this. This is the right one. Okay, now it's correct. Okay, so we do have our, we do have our depreciation, but I don't need to multiply by -1 now. Okay, now we can just add them together. I think that's, what is the, okay, there we go. I'm gonna copy and paste formula, yes, formula, and I'm gonna save, I'm gonna just add a border. Okay, so we did calculate, which is the difference in here, and that's the geared taxable income. I'm not going to deal with this now, so we're going to say that the net tax income is going to be equal to this number here. Copy and paste everything across. Then the tax rate is 20%, and what we're going to have here is going to be the ungeared tax benefit or liability. It's going to be what? This times -1, right? And if I copy and paste across, okay, I didn't, yeah, there we go. We need to anchor this in here and copy and paste, and there we go. So we have 16.5 million to be paid as tax in the ungeared project. But if we're gonna go for the geared project, you can see that we're paying only $15.6 million. We're paying 1.5 million. We're paying 1 million less tax just because of the debts that are taking the project. Okay. So that's essentially the difference between the project and equity returns. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go back because we finished here the tax calculation. I'm going to go back now to the project returns, and I'm going to need to plug in on the tax paid, which is going to be equals to the number below here. And that's the, where is it? Depreciation, oh, it's here. Ooh. I am going to copy and paste, and I'm gonna cash flow to project, which is equals this one here. I'm gonna copy and paste everything. I am going to have a upper border, and that's it. So we do have the cash flow to project, and it's $80.86 million. And if you look here, the cash flows to project for the equity investor only 16.5. Right, so we have the cash flow to equity is smaller than the project, but there is a mistake also here. We do have to add for the cash flows to project, we have to add the capex. So let's gonna do this before here. So I'm gonna add here, put on plus, and I'm gonna grab the capex. I forgot the capex. That's pretty important information, so that's why it was wrong. So the capex, the total capex is here. And we will consider which number to use. Should we use this one here or should we use this one here? And the answer is we should use the capex. Why? Because we're calculating the project IRR, the project NPV. And at the project level, there is no leverage. Therefore, there is no fees or debt in closing costs, okay? Reason why we're gonna bring this number here and not gonna get this number in here. That's why. Enter. So we're adding the two things together and we're gonna copy everything across. And there we go. We have now cash flow to tax. It's lower than that number for the equity investors, right? Let me see if everything's correct in here. I think it is. I'm just double checking everything. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. So here we have the cash flow to equity. Sorry, here we have the cash flow available to project, and here we have the cash flow to equity. So we have 82.6 million cash flows to the project against 16.5 million cash flows to equity investors. So cash flows, the total cash flows to equity investors is lower, of course, because it's getting just a portion of the cash flows. And it's going to get whatever is available, while at the project level, we're getting all the cash flows before serving the debt because there's no debt, right? And that's the difference. Cool, so here's the cash flow. Let's gonna grab now the discount rate. I'm gonna also change this thing here to project discount rate, okay? 4.5%, so I'm gonna copy. I'm gonna just change here and then it's gonna be equals to this number here. Enter, and here I'm gonna calculate the NPV. And I think I can copy the infrastructure in here. Let's see, maybe not. Let's see, no, right? Yeah, okay, just have to change one thing. So what do I have to change here? So yeah, let me redo everything because I didn't do it correctly. So let's see the NPV. Another way to do it, you can just come here, F2, Control A, Control C, close, and now I come here. I'm gonna press Control V, but instead of grabbing this number here, we need to grab this number here. And instead of using this one here, we're gonna use this one here. Right, I'm gonna copy and paste and let me check. So we're calculating the NPV based on the discount rate of the project discount rate, and we are calculating the cash flows to project. That's cool. I'm gonna just rename this thing here. I'm gonna this project should be project hurdle rate. Project hurdle rate. There we go. That's 5 million. And it should be, again, we're in period 0. And then project IRR. Let me just grab this information here. And I'm going to paste it here. And now I just need to change. So instead of getting this one here, we're going to get this one here. And that's it. So I'm going to copy and paste across. And you can see that at the end of the lifetime of the project, we're going to have a 16.9% against the 24.5%. So it's much greater the equity IRR than the project IRR. Reason why you should try to leverage your projects, okay? It doesn't come for free, but still you can leverage it just to improve the equity IRR. That's the reason we're gonna do it. Enter here, so 14.96. It's a bit different, so okay, what's going on here? What's wrong here? I think what's wrong? Why it's not the same number? Okay, what's going on here? Yeah, I'm getting the wrong numbers. Should be this one here. Actually, let me see. This one here is wrong. Should be this one here. This one here was wrong. Okay, so now we're gonna copy and paste. And there we have. Okay, so you should get the cash flows to project, not the cash flows available to project before tax. Okay, so I was getting the wrong ones. So here we're gonna grab the NPV, as you can see in the formula in here. So just pause the video and copy it. And below here we have the IRR calculation for the project, right? So that's it for this video. We have 2 more things to do in the next one. So we're gonna calculate the tax loss account and we're gonna explain what that is. And then we are going only to complete here what? We're gonna just to complete here the LCOEs and LPPAs. So that's gonna be the next video. So I hope you have learned. Please subscribe to the channel. Help me reach 200 subscribers now, and I see you in the next one. Bye!